Hello and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season number 5, Division 1-2 Playoffs. Hopefully the stream is going live. I have no idea what just happened, but either way, this will be Game 2 of aSpera versus Power Rangers, as aSpera are one game closer to getting into the MLG Pro League for Season number 6. I'm GrandisV, and once again, I'll be joined by Mikelorus.
Now, I mentioned last game that both these two teams did 2-0 the previous opponents, but just looking at the last one, it's going to be the definite possibility that we see Power Rangers rally and take this game. It was very close. Like at the very end, I thought aSpera, if they couldn't crack into the Power Rangers base in like another couple minutes, they would just be completely out of the game. But Power Rangers, they slipped up once, botched their initiation, and aSpera with their glass cannon sniper just went off on Power Rangers. That's maybe why we see sniper being banned out this time. So no more sniper for the aSpera side, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Power Rangers come back and show aSpera what for and tie the series up.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. aSpera's draft was pretty hard to execute, I want to say, and even though the Tusk wasn't the flashiest of heroes, it did its job in the early game. The rotations were nice, and really what that game came down to was who got the initiation, who got the counter initiation. This game around, it looks like Power Rangers are well on their way to starting off on the right foot when it comes to that respect. It's going to be a Vengeful Spirit Batrider opener coming out from them to follow up aSpera's first pick, Shadow Fiend.
We just saw Treasure Cat play the Batrider in the last game, and it did do its job pretty much the entire time. There were periods of time when the Batrider just couldn't really do anything, but you can't expect heroes to play perfectly all the time. That is just never going to happen ever. But Treasure Cat got a fast blink dagger, and he did do some serious work for his team. So going for the same exact strategy is going to be pretty nice for the Power Rangers side. For aSpera, dipping into the Shadow Fiend, presumably for their mid lane, though you can very easily throw it into the safe. They might want to go down a similar strategy of their own. They, and just grabbing a whole lot of anti-Batrider tech. Dazzle maybe is their second pick.
Yeah, or even the Earthshaker. It was picked up by Power Rangers in the last game, but I really think it's worthwhile to pick up for aSpera, if for nothing else, to deny it away from Power Rangers. Early game, it was all about those Earthshaker roams. They did a lot of work.
All right, so we'll see if they want to take that out, or they want to pick that, or they just want to just leave it in and see if Power Rangers want to grab that. Lion was a hero that we did not see at all in the last game. I don't think he was banned, was definitely not picked. And, comboing with the Shadow Fiend, having more disables to protect your Shadow Fiend, always going to be fairly nice. If aSpera want to go down that route, they can, but this opening for Power Rangers is very similar to what they had in the last game. So aSpera, I would expect a very similar opening from them, although this is probably as different as you can get. Well, maybe not as different as you can get, but pretty darn different, let's say. A roaming Mirana or a Mirana Shadow Demon setup, maybe?
Yeah, pretty interesting to see Mirana picked up this early on inside the draft. Shadow Demon kind of feels like a no-brainer pick for them, just having that instant setup for the arrow, and as well defensively against the Batrider, it's pretty nice. But in all honesty, I think they could have left this Mirana till later on. It's unlikely that Power Rangers would have banned it out, I feel.
Yeah, in the last 20, 30 games that I've casted, I've not seen a single Mirana. So if you're going to last pick a Mirana, you can go ahead and do that. And it's an okay support combination. Like, if you really don't know what supports you want to run, running a Shadow Demon Mirana is always going to be reasonable. But, Mirana this early is... I just don't think this is a good pick. There are so many other heroes that do their job better than Miranas, and you will always get your Mirana late. So aSpera, maybe they're going to get their hands on the Shadow Demon. That's definitely the hero that they do want to grab up against a Batrider and with a Mirana. But for Power Rangers, they're going to ban out the Slark instead. We also see Slardar and Juggernaut being banned out, even though Power Rangers were the one to ban out Slardar versus aSpera in last game. Slardar's just getting a lot of hate, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, neither do I. I've seen aSpera pick it every once in a while, but I can't remember the last time I saw Power Rangers run the Slardar. It is a very scary hero, in all honesty, especially with any extra bit of minus armor just pushing you over the threshold to ridiculous. With the Wave of Terror coming out from the Avenge, they already have that, and it would have given them a decent amount of initiation, but although Slardar is not a bad pick, I want to say, I also don't think he's the best.
Kind of like the Mirana. Like, if you want a Slardar, most of the time you're going to be able to get him late unless you just have random bans out, but who knows. I guess, Venge, Slardar, Shadow Fiend, both sides do already have some minus armor, and as you said, minus armor loves more minus armor. With Dazzle still in the pool, they could always go for some jank minus armor strategy, TA or something like that. Who knows? But him and Juggernaut going to get the ban out. Juggernaut did do a lot of work for Power Rangers in the last game, so that ban is completely justifiable. And it's going to be Lion to get the boot out from Power Rangers. Just seems like they aren't really scared of any sort of Mirana combos. They do grab a Storm Spirit. As nice as it is to have a Shadow Demon to defensively help your allies, Storm Spirit is a hero that can, jump in, force that disruption, and then either chill and wait and then kill you afterwards, or just jump away.
Or just jump straight onto the Shadow Demon. With an Orchid, Storm Spirit can very reliably kill him off. And currently, aSpera don't have any reliable lockdown at all, really. They have plenty of picks to prioritize that later on, but at the moment, Power Rangers Initiation looks incredibly scary. With a swap into Stun, or a Batrider Blink into Lasso, or just the Storm Spirit Ball Lightning in. They have a lot of ways to start fights on their own terms, and aSpera are pretty allergic to it when it comes to their picks, Shadow Fiend in particular.
Whoa. Okay, man. I have no idea what's going on, but I gotta say, I love it. It's sweet. I love it when teams do this. They just go off the rails. They just grab random stuff that is never banned, never picked, but sometimes you just gotta go for it. Now, these are not really... I said, not good heroes. They're perfectly fine, but they're not good heroes for the Storm Spirit. As you said, they're very allergic to this type of high damage burst initiation from long range. Leshrac is paper. Mirana's paper. Their escapes, or at least the leap escape, isn't really going to do jack when the Storm Spirit has any mana at all. And their slows, as far as counter-initiating tools, are very, very slow. Compared the Leshrac or Mirana to the Lion. If he gets jumped by the Storm Spirit, he turns around, instantly the Hex comes out. For Leshrac and Mirana, you have to, first of all, line up your target, and then very, very slowly split the earth, or very slowly chuck the arrow. And then by that time, the Storm Spirit's probably gone. So these are not good heroes versus the Storm Spirit, but aSpera have a plan, clearly, and it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'd love to see this Lesh go into the mid lane, but this pickup from Power Rangers is really good, I want to say. It's pretty much a major cock block for anything aSpera want to be doing. If an arrow connects, you have an Aphotic Shield to take that off, and without that arrow, aSpera's kill potential is pretty limited, although they're bringing heaps and heaps of damage to the table, with Lesh and Shadow Fiend both. It's so unreliable. But then again, we kind of said that about aSpera's lineup in game number 1. Maybe they can just pull something amazing.
Diabolic Edict, Presence of the Dark Lord. Why did you ban out Slardar, man? You could have had so much physical damage with Edict. I don't know if Leshrac is going to be going for that. I don't even know if there's a standard Leshrac build, like he's just never seen. I feel like more often than not, he's going to grab the non-Edict skills. He's just going to go Lightning. But I don't know. If you pick him this early, if you pick him at all, you probably have some sort of plan with him. And Edict is something that Leshrac does pretty uniquely, let's say. Not many heroes that can tear down towers like an Edict. And then they're going to go for a Nyx Assassin. More stuns. Mana burn, very, very nice versus that Storm Spirit. This pick is still a little bit strange, although a lot more normal than the previous two. And it's setting aSpera up for a super aggressive game.
Yeah, it really is. aSpera have a lot of killing potential if they can get these skills to connect, but again, it's another unreliable stun. We're going to see the Shadow Demon banned out by Power Rangers, and that's completely reasonable. Any reliable way to set up disables is going to be amazing for aSpera's last pick, but they are very much on that aggressive path. The Nyx Assassin's also going to have the Spike Carapace to somewhat deal with Batrider being able to walk through the Firefly, and being able to get that guaranteed Carapace stun is pretty nice. The Nyx Assassin, I really like the pick, but as to how well it's going to work out with the Mirana and Leshrac, I'm not sure.
Well, they get rid of the anti-mage for Power Rangers, denying some of that late game, although Power Rangers have still their pick of the late game heroes. They can go for pretty much whatever they want. For aSpera, though, they're on this aggressive plan. They do have quite a bit of crowd control. Most of it is really hard to actually hit, though. I have no idea what they're going to go for their last pick, but if you're going to see a weird hero like a Ricky or an Ursa, then it's probably going to be in this game. It's been a long time since we've seen a Lone Druid. I'm going to say Lone Druid.
Why not?
Hey, if I get it right, I'll look like a freaking genius. And if I get it wrong, it's fine, because he's never picked anyway.
Either way, it's going to be a Lycanthrope for Power Rangers. We saw the power of the Lycan last game. If they're able to win a fight, and Power Rangers do have the tools at their disposal to win those fights, Lycanthrope can tear apart structures, even just by himself. This is pretty scary coming out from PR. All things considered, again, I think they have the more stable draft, but aSpera, again, have the more explosive one. Let's see if they're going to be able to pull it off this time around, and, well, we also have to wait and see what this 5th pick is going to be. It's a Sven! I absolutely love this pick, actually. It gives them a reliable stun to set things up with, some nice scaling damage, and the extra armor aura is actually going to be really nice for the team. Or not really aura, but Warcry.
It's, let's call it an aura. It's pretty much just that, but I'm kind of upset because it's not a lone druid, but it's fine because there was no chance it was a lone druid from the beginning. That's fine. It is a very rare thing to have a one-position core farmer who actually has a stun that's reliable. And that's exactly what you need when you're working with aSpera's lineup. A Stormhammer into a Split Earth is freaking amazing. When you have an arrow to follow up or mix that arrow in somewhere, then you're going to be getting some pretty easy kills. Granted, Abaddon is going to mess up that combo quite a bit. Going for the Storm Spirit, very difficult. Going for Lycan is very difficult because he's so tanky, but this is the hero that aSpera needed. They needed this late game damage output. You could have maybe relied on the Apathy to do it as a Shadow Fiend, but it's unlikely that's going to really be guaranteed versus like the Storm Spirit, Bat, and a Lycan. So, yeah, as you said, this is the hero that aSpera really needed, and yeah, it is going to fit really well into their draft.
Well, to introduce their heroes in their entirety, the Apathy is going to be playing on the Shadow Fiend, Mirana going to be played by Captain Love, Leshrac handled by Smiley, the Sven actually looking to go towards the mid lane with this loadout. Pretty interesting. Played by Iceberg, Nyx Assassin going to be going towards the off lane, played by Hakan.
And for the Power Ranger side, Cheshire Cat is going to once again be playing that Bat Rider. This time, Jotum is going to be handling the Abaddon, probably going to play a similarly defensive role on him that we saw last game. J4 on the Vengeful Spirit. Axmo going to be playing a different lightning hero in that Storm Spirit this time, and Dichira is going to be handling the Lycan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks like it's going to be a dual lane mid with Sven and Leshrac, expecting a Storm Spirit, and that is actually a pretty deadly lane in general, and Storm Spirit doesn't have any answers to it except for his natural health pool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to stay this way for long. Smiley could very easily roam to other lanes, but yeah, this is very scary. If they're able to connect with their Stormhammer, and, well, they should, it's just a point-click stun. Following up with the Split Earth is easy peasy. Mirana's going to fire an arrow looking for the 0-minute rune, and it's not going to connect onto J4 a little bit far to the south. Abaddon and Vengeful Spirit are going to be the ones to secure that extra bit of bounty.
Well, we said that Power Rangers have a much safer draft. They also have a nice little advantage. Just having 2 bounty runes off the bat can get you quite a bit of value overall in the game. But with such an explosive draft from aSpera and such a dangerous mid lane, those bounty runes may very well not do too much at all. The fortunate thing for this mid lane for Axmo is that he has a lot of armor, he has a lot of base damage, more so than Leshrac. So Leshrac, though he would love to just sit back and poke at Axmo, keep him out of the lane, he can't really do that, or else the creeps are going to mess him up, and Storm Spirit, if he gets into a man fight, is also going to mess him up. So it's not really going to be the safest slow pressure lane for aSpera. It's just all explosive, it's an all-in lane. Speaking of all-in, up towards top, Apathy has 4 stacks of Napalm. Arrow, though, coming from the Mirana, is going to keep the Apathy alive.
Yeah, although only just. The Shadow Fiend needs to be very careful. He'll be at the receiving end of a death. Abaddon settled his way down towards this middle lane, just making sure that Axmo can survive. The status quo for the time being is looking alright for Power Rangers, I want to say. Even though the Storm is getting pressured very heavily, he hasn't died, and he's also finding a little bit of golden experience here and there. Lycanthrope, left alone versus Nyx, should have a grand old time. 1v1, there's not much that the Nyx can do to pressure the Lycanthrope off the lane or stop him from farming, and even Cheshire Cat is doing alright for himself.
This is an ideal scenario for Hakan, as there are so many lanes that completely smash Nyx Assassin. This isn't really one of them, but he's still not going to be favored up against this Lycan, because Nyx Assassin just inherently isn't a super strong laner. He's melee, he's agility, he's very soft, and that's just not a good recipe. However, over towards mid, Axmo going deep. He's going to get hit with 1 stun. Secondary stun is there, but instantly they buff it out with the shield. He will drop very, very low, but he will not die. And that's really what the Abaddon is picked up for. Of course, it was more meant for canceling out Mirana arrows, but man, buffing out a stun is the same no matter what stun it is. He will get clipped with a stun of his own. Now the follow-up with the Split Earth. Iceberg closing in, but he doesn't have mana. Doesn't matter. Jotum is going to grab the bounty rune, and now he's on the run. Arrow and right-click, and Smiley's going to draw first blood. That is the strength of Abaddon, of course, is that he can shield his allies. Doesn't really do great for himself. But we also saw there the weakness of Sven. Very low mana pool. He's not very bright.
That's going to be remedied a little bit by the fact that he has a bottle with the Split Earth arrow landing on the Axmo. Abaddon's a little bit far behind. He has a shield and a heal to offer to Axmo. Axmo is going to survive for a little bit longer, and the Leshrac dropping very low. Smiley going to get right-clicked down, but is not going to survive. The one more heal or harm coming out from Abaddon's going to be enough for a one-for-one trade, still favoring aSpera.
And if aSpera can keep making those trades, Storm Spirit for Leshrac, they would be so happy. That was an insane stun combo, and as nice as it was to see that stun combo land, that's the textbook stun combo for aSpera. They still struggled to get that kill, even with those 3 stuns perfectly on point, because Abaddon was there. Level 3 hero, and Abaddon is able to give his allies quite a bit of extra health. It's like 140 flat with the shield, plus a 100, so that's 240 additional health pool for the Storm Spirit, not to mention the ability to take out those stuns. This Abaddon is going to be preventing Axmo from dying for a greater portion of this game, but if he himself gets stunned, then it'll be very easy for aSpera to take those kills. For right now, though, Iceberg doesn't really quite have the mana to do anything.
Axmo's going to go strong into Iceberg, but trading pretty evenly, all things considered. The Shadow Fiend's been left alone up inside this top lane, and that's not really doing wonders for aSpera. He's getting zoned out by this Vengeful Spirit as Batrider continues to farm to his heart's content. But all the action seems to be focused on this mid lane, as that's where Captain Love is settled on the Mirana. He's going to again look for an arrow coming from Jotham's behind. He's going to walk up to the high ground and then bump into Captain Love as they go into the Storm Spirit with the Abaddon not there. They're going to be able to set with Split from it, and the arrow perfectly comboed, and with Abaddon not close enough, they'll be able to get that kill.
I think that's called the bait and switch. They pull the Abaddon off. They know that the 4-minute rune was respawning, and I thought we were going to see the exact same kill on the Abaddon that we saw for First Blood, but instead, they see the Abaddons away, they pull the trigger in mid, and they absolutely destroy the Storm Spirit. So a very smooth move from aSpera. As nice as it is to see this mid lane succeeding, they still have to worry about Apathy up towards top. Not having the best lane versus J4 and Treasure Cat. Arrow gonna fly wide as Captain Love is unable to help the Apathy. Now 2 stacks of Napalm, and Apathy looking to go down. He does have a lot of stick charges, and he will try to draw Treasure Cat as close as he can. One raise is there. Treasure Cat will not die to the tower either. J4 still sitting in the tower as Captain Love walks into the Firefly, gets hit with another magic missile, and it's going to be a double for J4. That was, yeah, you don't want to sit in Firefly ever. Shadow Fiend and Mirana both losing their lives up here on the quote-unquote safe lane.
Yeah, even though the Storm Spirit's doing pretty poorly in mid, 0, 2, and 1, and only having 15 CS, bottom and top lane are straight-up wins for Power Rangers, since most of the focus that aSpera have been putting out is on this mid lane, and Storm Spirit does have the potential to come back into it with some jungle stacks at his disposal, and once he gets to level 6, that kill combo is not going to be as threatening. It's really looking unfortunate for them. I think the biggest thing that needs to happen for aSpera is that this Nyx Assassin starts getting active. He's about to hit level 6, and that's the point where I'd like to see him roam around.
Mid lane, Axmo is going to take a double stun combo. They throw the arrow wide, however. They're trying to get the arrow to land onto the Abaddon, yet they're going to go for it anyway. Another heal from the Abaddon, but Axmo doesn't have any ball lightning. He'll take a lot of damage. He will go down again. Oh my god, this damage combo. Now onto Jotham they go. He's getting hit with the Stormhammer as soon as he arrives. Arrow onto J4. Iceberg will die in the meantime. Splitting their damage, though, aSpera might cost them. Here come the Wolves to finish up this kill, and it's going to be a 2-for-1 in the mid lane. Oh man, if they just focused on one of these heroes instead of splitting their damage, they could have gotten away with their heroes alive, and they probably would have gotten another kill as well. But aSpera, they're going to play this chaotic game, and when you have so much chaos, sometimes you're going to slip up, and it's going to be Power Rangers to take that little win.
Yeah, and really this is an unfortunate state of the game for aSpera, as they want to be ahead when it comes to kills, and they're not farming enough to really make up for it. Shadow Fiend's starting to pick back up, as he does have a little bit of support, but now that the Batrider has a stack of Napalm and a Lasso, he's going to pull back the Apathy. It's only 2 stacks, he's not doing that much damage now that the arrow connects into the Batrider, and maybe they can turn around. The Requiem's going to be channeled, the Apathy's going to survive over in the sidelines. With Split Earth, they'll be able to turn around and get the kill. Batrider is going to end up falling, tying up the kill score 5-5.
And the supports of aSpera right now are doing some very, very heavy lifting. Captain Love as well as Smiley demolishing the mid lane for the Sven, but also saving the Apathy's bacon. In the meantime, over towards bottom, they went deep. Hakon with the Impale, Iceberg with the follow-up hammer, and they kill off the Vengeful Spirit. Granted, a very easy kill to take, being such a soft agility hero, but it's a kill nonetheless, and it's going to help Nyx Assassin get a couple more points in experience. He's level 7 right now, and this is really where the point for Nyx Assassin where he's at one of his maxed out points, level 7, level 11, and then well, he's not really going to scale too huge from there on out. But now that he does have enough mana for a Vendetta as well as an Impale, mid lane has got to watch itself. Abaddon does have a borrowed time ultimate, but Storm Spirit still does not have Ball Lightning.
That's really scary for Axmo. The Nyx Assassin does know that there's a sentry, however, in mid, as they did get a D ward off onto that high ground ward placed out by the Listrak, so he's going to have to take the long way around. Let's see if this is going to connect by Hakan. The Storm Spirit sticking around a little too much, I think, feeling too safe because of that sentry. They'll open up with the Stormhammer, and now follow up with the Impale, and the Split Earth follow as well. The damage is there. Axmo going to end up falling, although Hakan's dropping very low under the tower. He's going to drop Spike Carapace, trying to salve up, not going to be enough, as another Mistcoil is going to spell his demise. Lycanthrope coming in from the sidelines, right onto Smiley. Smiley very low on HP. The Split Earth is going to miss, and that's going to be the end of his life as Ditchera munches him down 7-7. This game does not disappoint when it comes to action.
Sven had Stormhammer available for the entire time as far as cooldown is concerned, but just not enough mana. Again, this hero is dumb. He right now has enough for 2 Stormhammers, but that's assuming he's topped out in mana pool. At a certain point, these trades just aren't worth it for aSpera. The 1-for-1 Storm Spirit kill for the Nyx Assassin, that's worth it. Losing their Shrek afterwards, then that suddenly becomes a little bit less so. Even though Iceberg is surviving most of these, Power Rangers, they're getting quite a lot on this Abaddon. And, you know, Abaddon isn't really the most terrifying hero if you get a little bit of farm, but, man, look into any pub game, and if Abaddon gets a little bit ahead, he can end up doing a little bit of damage. And that's not really what he's built for in this game, but if he does get a fast mech or a 4-staff or something like that, then your stun combo is not looking too impressive.
No, definitely not. Well, Sven looks to be saving up straight for that Blink Dagger, as he has pooled himself about 1,500 gold, or getting very close to it. The Shadow Fiend's been left alone for a little bit after dying once, and the apathy is starting to come back into this game. But the hero that we haven't talked about, and probably for good reason, is Ditchera on this Lycanthrope. He has a full hand of Midas flying out to him on the courier.
Well, 9-minute Midas, pretty timely pick up there. J4 down towards bottom lane. Gonna get a face full of Bug with a little bit of Leshrac help there. Easy stun setup and easy kill. That's gonna be another repeated death on the Vengeful Spirit down towards the bottom lane. aSpera, they're keeping up with this aggression, and that's their game plan. If they ever stop, they're probably just going to lose the game. One problem up for the aSpera side, though, is that the Storm Spirit does now have Ball Lightning, so going in for him is going to be a lot more difficult, but they're going to smoke up, and they're going to go in for round I don't even know what, down on bottom lane. This time towards Ditchera, who's going to oh man, he just blew the smoke, but he didn't actually see that he did it. Now the stun combo is going to follow up. Arrow guaranteed to land, but I don't even think they need it. Stars will fall, and with the Edict, they will kill off that Lycan. That was super unfortunate. He was right outside, but then as soon as he went back inside, he blew the smoke.
Yeah, pretty interesting build coming out from Smiley. We talked about in the draft how there really isn't a standard build, so to speak. For Lesh, she's going for very much a hybrid build, 2-3-3.
Well, Split Earth, it's hard skill to land for sure, even though you may have some stuns. Getting that additional point just for a little bit more AoE might very well be worth it. J4 in bottom lane, standing still, and he's going to get tagged with an arrow. Guys, he never stands still in Dota. He is going to get some TP support from the Abaddon. Looks like they will fall short in damage. They will go into the Vendetta. Hakon, though, is spotted out by a sentry still placed, and aSpera will fall short in damage in their gank, as Mirana just bailed out. She had no plans sticking around there. Maybe level 2 Starstorm would have done it, but this Nyx Assassin just seemingly not doing that much damage.
Sven, actually, instead of going for the Blink Dagger, is going to fall back for a hand of Midas. Is aSpera going to angle towards the late game? I can't say how much I like this pickup for Iceberg, but then again, the late game Sven is not something to be underestimated. He's going to Midas creep and then smoke up with the Lesh as they look for some picks.
A little bit later than the Midas of the Lycan, but with the Cleave, he will be able to balance the farm race out a little bit. They're going to teleport Hakon down towards bottom. Magic Missile is awaiting him, however, he will Carapace that one out. Shapeshift from the Lycan as he's going to look to dive right in onto a hammer, actually. Smiley's going to turn around with Split Earth as well. Ditchera going to get shielded up by Jotum, and he will run his way out, but now Jotum is all alone. Iceberg's popped the God Strength, and he will do what he can versus this Abaddon, but this Abaddon is a very high level 9, plus he has borrowed time. They're going to chase him down. They need another hammer. I don't think they have the range. Actually, no, they will, but he has borrowed time. He will pop that one. Has shield as well. Stun 1 to follow up, and the shield can't quite come out. It will go up in the end, but I don't think it'll be enough for him to survive. Hakon will draw blood on that Abaddon. Everyone is going to drop so low, especially the Mirana, who got eaten by wolves in the back line. And even Smiley is not out of the woods just yet, because these wolves have quite a lot of duration left. Smiley got to pop Edict or something and try to clean out these wolves. But, oh, can he do it? Needs to earn himself, like, right now. Oh, no, Smiley, no, run away. They need more damage. Okay, they kill off one. I think Smiley's fine, unless this is a crit. No, okay, he's fine. He's fine, guys.
In the meantime, Shadow Fiend and Batrider trading blows as they're going to trade 1-for-1. Blink him from the bat, he ends up eating a handful of raises, and then Shadow Fiend dies inside the Firefly. and a pretty big mess up there, although it's probably fairly even. Either way, Leshrac is going to be able to make it out alive, and I don't know, this game is just so aggressive from either side, and it's really hard to say who this is actually favoring. Power Rangers are farming pretty heavily on their Lycanthrope, but since a lot of that net worth is tied up into a Midas, his immediate items aren't really that impressive. Still, Vlad's is going to help them quite a bit, and the ability for them to Roche is there. With the Batrider on their side, as well as the Storm and a Vengeful Spirit, they have heroes not only to take the Roche on, but to very easily benefit from it.
Yeah, this game state is actually going to favor Power Rangers quite a bit because aSpera's draft, for right now, it's meant to be very far ahead. That's why you go for the likes of Leshrac and Assassin, as well as that Marana. Because, well, I mean, let's just say they're even, which they're not, but let's say they were. They would be fighting at quite disadvantage. They're going to Moonlight Shadow up, stun Cheshire Cat once. There is an arrow. No, there actually isn't. J4 gets to swap out, but still Cheshire Cat is surrounded. He will be brought down now. They're onto J4. Do they have any additional CC effects? Ball Lightning coming on in. They'll go straight for Iceberg. That's the Sven down. Smiley not going to last very long either. Will throw out what damage he can. Hakon will try to TP out. He'll make it out alive, but Captain Love has, not that much in the way of escapes. He'll leap down to the low ground, but Digirao is going to give chase very easily, and Captain Love will be eaten alive. That's a 3-for-1 in favor of Power Rangers, and, well, now they're pretty far ahead of aSpera, who have to be more ahead of Power Rangers in order to be considered even.
Yeah, and Axmo is going for a Midas too on the Storm Spirit immediately after the fact of going to Roshan with the Midas Armor coming out from the Medallion of Revenge, as well as a level 2 Wave of Terror. They'll be able to munch this down and get a second life for their Storm if they give it to Axmo. And I think that's probably the right choice. But regardless, it's going to be an Aegis onto somebody. Blink Lasso over in the sidelines. They catch out Nyx. Nyx is up on the high ground, gets blown up. Nothing that he could do in that situation. Could even pop out the Carapace. Spends over in the sidelines to get a stun over onto 2 with the races to follow up to bring down the Lycanthrope. He's not the one with a second life. Arrow's going to fly wide. Doesn't get onto the Storm Spirit. Edict's going to be popped out by Smiley as he slows down the Epidon, but they decide to go for J4 instead. Long Race is going to get a secondary kill for aSpera, and now they're going to go over into Axmo. He's going to get stunned up, but does get the pull off an Iceberg. They purge off one of the stuns, and now he's going to zip over the sidelines. Does have the Aegis. Axmo going to survive, but Abaddon maybe not so lucky. He's going to start earning up. Does not have the borrowed time available. He previously used it. One Ray is going to miss as Iceberg looks for the Stormhammer. He's juking through the trees, but he's caught between 4 enemy heroes and will be dropped down in a 1-for-3 trade for aSpera that started off in a really bad manner.
And pretty huge fight there for aSpera. They completely ignored the hero with the Aegis, which if you can do, you should do always. And it's very easy to make that call because Storm Spirit's only level 9, only has a hand of Midas. I mean, it's a nice item to have a Storm Spirit, but there's no really need to focus a Storm Spirit at this point when he's not really doing that much. aSpera come in huge. They open up that fight with a 2-man stun, which ordinarily would be, it's a pretty good way to open up a fight, a 2-man Stormhammer. But when one of those heroes is the Abaddon, then you pretty much can't get much better than that. You lock out both the Abaddon and your secondary target, and that secondary target happened to be the Lycan. It was pretty much perfect initiation there from the Sven, and you can't really depend on that all the time because walking into a Stormhammer, not exactly going to be the best way to initiate fights every single time, but it worked out very well for them that time. They're going to try to go for top lane, and Cheshire Cat is going to get Spike Carapace out of his Firefly, slowed down again by a Stormhammer. Do they have enough damage to actually bring him down, though? It seems like they'll just fall short, because Hakon tried to freehand the Impale and ended up missing. The Batrider is going to get home to safety.
Yeah. I'm starting to dislike this Midas pickup on Iceberg more and more as the game progresses. The Sven Blink Dagger could have helped him a lot, or even going for, like, the Helm, or whatever he might be going with that Dom. Over in the sidelines, Iceberg going to get pulled back after being swapped and missiled, and, well, Midas isn't going to save you there. He ends up going down.
Yeah, the Midas is... I think it would be a really good item if he had not an... Like, yeah, he's had an exceedingly average start. Like, he's been getting kills. He's been getting assists. You have to have, like, a, 5-0-3 score or something like that if you're going to get Midas, and it won't really impact your aggressive power because you're so far ahead. Yeah, he has the Midas, but he's not that far ahead, so it is going to interrupt his regularly purchasable items. Like, he would have an Armlet right now if he was just going straight for it. Armlet is, well, going to help him a little bit more than a Midas in a heads-up fight, so... aSpera will have that late game insurance, but it's not even going to be guaranteed because there's 2 Midases on the Power Ranger side, and the rest of the Power Rangers, they're up on top lane. They have a Blink Dagger on the Batrider ready to go, and I don't believe it's possible for aSpera to defend this. I don't think they even want to. They're going to instead try to go for Axmo in the mid lane, but this is a Storm with an Aegis, not an easy kill.
No, and it doesn't look like they're going to get it. Shadow Fiend's farming down towards bottom in the meantime, but tier 1 tower up towards top going to fall just the same. Although maybe aSpera can get something on the retreat, TPing in with 2 heroes. Dichira going to pop his wolf form. No stun from Iceberg yet. Arrow going to fly wide and really doesn't connect onto much of anything. Nyx is coming in from the sidelines, does have an impale, but can't find anybody to target it on. aSpera react, but don't succeed in getting any kills or defending their tower.
And they might actually lose a secondary tower, and they will. They have a fortification. Axmo's not going to get it completely free, but he will get it eventually. As everyone from aSpera walking up to the top lane, and then forced to walk back mid, awkwardly wasting their time as they pace back and forth between the mid and top lanes. But it's going to be 2 towers claimed by Power Rangers, and these skill shots of aSpera, it's really, really difficult to land these skills ever. And when you only have a Stormhammer to set things up, it makes it all the more difficult. 15-15, but Power Rangers with a pretty nice lead in this game. 7,500 gold, 5,000 experience, plus more late game.
Yeah, well, for the time being, we're going to see Vendetta out from the next... Oh, no, never mind. I'm not sure what I heard. But regardless, things are going to slow down a bit. Axmo is still sitting on that Aegis, but not for much longer, going to expire in about 50 seconds or so. I don't think they're going to get any value from it. But regardless, the ability for Axmo to farm up with this Aegis is bought him enough time to where he almost has enough for an Orchid, or if he wants to go for it, a Soul Booster towards a Bloodstone.
Well, anything he gets is going to be well warranted. He's been playing a very hands-off role in this game because he's been having such a rough early game. So anything that'll help him get in and do something, actually get some damage on the board, is going to be pretty nice for Power Rangers as a whole. They can actually fight as a 5-man team instead of a 4-man team. In the meantime, however, Cheshire Cat, he's being stalked by a Nyx. Actually, no, he just ran out of Vendetta, but he's going to walk around the corner. Cheshire Cat going to get some mana burned, but that was awkward. Okay, nothing's going to happen because Vendetta just doesn't last long enough when it's level 1.
Yeah, the item pickup for the Nyx Assassin is going to be Yule's Scepter, and I actually quite like it. Any other way that they can use to set up some skill shots is wonderful, and even though it's not on the Shadow Fiend directly, maybe we do get to see some Yule's Scepter Requiem combos. Either way, very late Midas from the Apathy. It looks like both teams are just buckling down and wanting to take this late. I'm not so sure if I favor aSpera in the late game, mostly because PR's initiation is just a lot more reliable, especially once you get a BKB on the Storm. There's not really anything they can do to respond to that.
Yeah, it's not exactly a great move for aSpera, but what are your alternatives? You could keep trying to fight in the mid game and try to get an advantage in this stage of the game. That's clearly not going to happen, because if it was going to happen, you would already be ahead. So this is really the only move that they can make, and even though it's not really the best thing for them to do, it's the only thing they have to do, and in that regard, I think it's probably pretty good. Smiley's going to get dragged right into a Storm Spirit, though. Arrow is going to fly wide. Smiley bailed out by a Moonlight Shadow, as Power Rangers don't have detection. Well, that's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, that's something that you really need to have. And on the Batrider even, although he's sitting on an Observer Word for now, and that's nice and all, you kind of need some sort of way to reveal those heroes when you're dealing with the Mirana and on your initiators too. Arrow going to fly through by the Mirana, doesn't land in a Dichira, he spotted it in time. But yeah, what could have been a really easy pick off into the Lesh turns out to not really amount to anything. Nyx Assassin going to spot eyes onto Dichira, but they also spot the Nyx with a Sentry Ward. Impale's going to be off the mark. They completely burn him dry of mana, but that's about all that's exchanged. For the time being, we've slowed down a bit as both teams are going to start farming up.
Man, the fact that Impale can miss and Earthspike can't is just so BS now. Like, we've been seeing so much Lion lately, and we don't see that much Nyx, and every single time you see a missed Impale, it's like, oh, that's why Nyx Assassin isn't that good, because it's impossible to hit this very slow skill. Show some love to Nyx, Ice Frog, please. But 15-15 and aSpera, they walk in, demolish a tier 1, and they are not going to lose that much in exchange, so pretty nice exchange for them. But next time the push is going to happen from Power Rangers, it's going to be with a Lycan, with a level 3 Necro Book, of course with Vlad's Aura as well. That push is incredibly fast, we just saw in the last game, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for aSpera potentially to defend against that. They don't really have enough items to convincingly crush through that army.
DD Room picked up by the Storm, but he was spotted out by an Observer Ward and is going to eat an arrow to the face. That's going to cleanly disengage aSpera, as looks like nothing else is going to happen after the fact. 15-15, there has been a lot of kills in this game, but for the last couple of minutes we have slowed down quite a lot. It is going to be a Bloodstone next for the Storm Spirit. He has that flying out to him on the Courier as we speak, as aSpera look to group up for a smoke, it seems.
Well, they're going to be... sorry. setting up for a smoke gank and then taking Roshan thereafter. They're going to have, this is going to be a heavily contested Roshan, but unfortunately for both sides, all their positioning is going to be wasted because Roshan's not up for another 230. Really unfortunate there, but the Wolf is going to be pretty much always in the Roshan pit, and of course Power Rangers have both the Storm Spirit and the Bat Rider, two heroes that are very easily able to scout out Roshan. Even though aSpera have arrows, that's not exactly ideal. So odds are it's going to be Power Rangers to start the Roshan, if anything at all, and they should be pretty comfortable going into a Rosh pit fight with their team.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, yeah, looks like we're just going to wait that out unless Nyx Assassin can find somebody with his Vendetta, but as we've kind of already seen, the Nyx initiations aren't doing enough damage to really kill off anybody on the side of PR. Abaddon has his borrowed time, Vengeful Spirit's also not that squishy with power treads as well as a full medallion completed up, and really the Nyx Assassin's burst combo isn't doing enough by himself, but with some help from the Shadow Fiend or any other hero for that matter, they can do quite a bit.
It almost seems like this is always the problem with Nyx Assassins nowadays. They get a little bit behind because they're sent to the offlane. They're forced to go for a Yule Scepter. I mean, it's not a bad item. It's a very good item, but it's not exactly going to help their kill potential all that much. And then they just don't do that much except for act as a mobile observer ward, which is sometimes very nice, but sometimes just not what you need. Regardless, he will have that Yule Scepter up, and when you're going up against a Storm Spirit, a Bat Rider, a Lycan, that Yule Scepter may very well be a lifesaver. Plus, to a lesser extent, you have Yule Scepter into Impale. With every single time he's missed Impale, it's nice to have some way of setting it up for himself. But man, Alina would have this one for like 10 minutes by now.
Yeah, I think in this game in particular, Nyx Assassin's kind of outclassed by Beastmaster by every respect. You get the scouting, and then you get a more reliable initiation with the Roar, so I don't know. We'll just have to see. I don't think at this point there's anything that Gon can really do to remedy that fact, however.
Yeah, what's done is done, and, well, Power Rangers, they're going to push in the mid lane. With Ditchy Ra, his damage output, it's not even going to be amplified by the Howl nor the Necro books. However, the wraparound from aSpera is coming in. Arrow's going to be thrown, will fly wide. Chargecat's going to dodge the Impale as well. Bad fight start for aSpera as they catch the Apathy off in the front lines. Gets the BKB delivered, but it's a little bit too late. He's going to get messed up. Now he has the BKB that he can pop. Requiem is there as well, but it's not going to do jack. He's going to go down. Already they've lost two, and their most important damage dealer as well. Hakon going to try to take out J4, but he's not even going to take out that hero. Smiley and Hakon should both be chased down. Swap back onto the Nyx after they took out that Lestrak, and Hakon with one stack of tar. Once it's a couple more, then it's just all going to be over. The rest of the team not even bothering with that, as Axmo and Ditchy Ra are going to clean up the mid lane tier 2. It's a disastrous fight for aSpera as they just can't land any of their stuns. They're going to lose Raxes here, maybe?
Yeah, if they don't lose Raxes, it's going to be very close. The pushing power from Lycan's ridiculous, so jump onto the Mirana, she'll be able to leap away, but she's the only one up. The melee barracks are going to be chunked down. Ditchy Ra, although he doesn't have the Necro books, it doesn't seem to matter. The damage is still more than enough coming out from Power Rangers, as they pull this game wide open after one bad initiation coming out from aSpera. They really needed that BKB earlier, and even so, they needed to not get caught out in such an awkward position. There really wasn't anything for them to do. They tried to initiate with the Moonlight Shadow, but immediately Ditchy Ra pops his Necrobook 3. There was dusts as well applied to aSpera's lineup, and things fall off the rails very quickly after that. Immediately, Power Rangers going to go into a Roshan to further secure their advantage this game.
Again, it was the move that aSpera kind of needed to make. You can't afford to just give up your towers like that because the enemies can very easily go up to high ground after the fact. But with so many missed skill shots, that's most of their damage output, and it's just down the tubes. They're going to finally land an arrow, but it's going to be on a random wolf. Axmo jumps in along with Chargecat. They grab the Apathy. Ditchy Ra's there, right on top of that Shadow Fiend. He does have a mech. He will survive for a little while longer, but he's just not doing any damage. And he can't afford to turn around to do any damage either. He's going to drop Smiley and Captain Love, both going to die. Iceberg going to walk awkwardly in just to try to walk right out. That's going to be 4 kills, with Ditchy Ra drawing a triple. Nyx Assassin, he might escape, he might not. I don't even think it matters, because it seems like aSpera are just completely out of this game as they get completely wiped, and they will tap out.
I think the story of this game is that Power Rangers just forced aSpera to play in a way that they didn't want to based on their draft. It was instead aSpera forced to play Power Rangers game, almost forcing him to go into these Midases, forcing him to go into very risky moves, and in the end, they're going to be punished because of it. The series is going to be tied up 1-1 as we move on to a game number 3 starting shortly.